At Bath Savings, you know us for our exceptional customer service. And that service extends to our secure online and mobile banking solutions, so you can feel comfortable accessing and managing your accounts wherever you are. And it's all backed by the same personalized customer service from neighbors right here in your community. To learn more about Bath Savings online and mobile banking solutions, visit bathsavings.com. Bath Savings, your neighbor, your bank.
Hager Enterprises, a paving and excavation contractor specializing in all sorts of site work, utility installations, and road construction since 1987.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to High School Hoops. I'm your host, Larry Seidlinger, and today with me is my guest, Larry Reed. He is the head coach of the Oceanside Mariners. Coach Reed, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right, let's get right into it. I know a lot of folks have at home been waiting to hear this talk. We had Coach DePatsy, your arch rival from Madomic last week. We got you this week. I think we're going to have maybe Lincoln Academy next week. We're going to get all you guys out of the way, and then we're going to talk some lady basketball. But for right now, two-time defending regional champ, came up just a little short in 2 championship games, but you lost 2,000-point scorers. How are you going to replace those guys this year? And give us a little bit of insight into this year's team.
You'll never replace the Galley twins. They're just so talented, and they brought so much to this program over the last 4 years. And they had some great accomplishments. I'm very happy for them. But we have a lot of really good players in our program, a lot of really good young players throughout our program. So we have some people that are capable of stepping in immediately and making an impact. It did hurt also to lose Trevin Ripley to Belfast. He's a heck of a good player, great big kid. He's going to be a dominant player in this league for a long time. But, you know, I returned some very good players too. Zeb Foster, Zach Woodman, Jackson Kay, Connor Kingsbury. I got a good group coming back too. So we'll be just fine.
I wanted to hit on the Foster boy. He had an outstanding year last year, kind of a silent compliment to those 2 Galley boys. But boy, he hit some big shots, especially against Madomic Valley. The one game I saw over at Madomic Valley, he just those were daggers. Just played really well.
Yeah, and if you watch the state championship, he played extremely well in that too. He does have a very good overall offensive game. You'll probably see a lot more of it now that the twins are gone. But Zeb is one of those guys that can just do it all. He handles the ball extremely well. He's very unselfish. He's always looking to set up his teammates. He's a great defender. And if you've seen him in football this year, you've seen he put on quite a bit of size. He's got a lot of muscle on him now. He's going to be even more dominant this year.
I'm sure your basketball coaches don't mind these kids playing football. It toughens them up just a little bit. You know, they're used to the banging and the booting. Of course, you're always worried about that injury if that's going into basketball season. But how important is it when they play football and spring and fall sports like that? They really come into basketball season really in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I mean, if you went to our first tryout last night, you could see the difference in the kids that played fall sports versus the kids that did it. Not just football, but those of them that played soccer or ran track or whatever. There's a difference. They're always running, always lifting, and they stay in shape throughout the time. And if you come into our tryout and you're not in shape, you're going to see the difference. It's going to be much more difficult on you, as people witnessed last night.
So who do you look for? Certainly, you've built an outstanding program there at Oceanside, had some great talent. Who do you see? I mean, this coastal basketball, Midcoast Maine basketball has gotten really, really competitive. Lincoln had a great year last year. They're returning a big nucleus of juniors and sophomores. Madomic's always tough. Camden Rockport is going to be good. And Belfast might be a dark horse this year.
Yeah, I think you named them all right there. I mean, the Midcoast is loaded with a lot of basketball talent. Last year, we had to go through both Madomic and Lincoln to make it to the state championship. And I think that the path to the state championship could go through the Midcoast once again. Madomic returns just about everybody. Corey Donlan's a big loss, but they have a lot of talent there. Ryan Ball is doing a great job with his team. The Twins are a handful. And I think you're going to see Camden compete pretty well in Class A this year, too. They got a lot of really talented kids that work their tails off.
Any particular favorite?
I would say right now, probably Madomic Valley. They have just about, they have it at just about every level. Guards, big men, bench. Obviously, they're extremely well coached with Coach DePatsy. I would put them as just a little bit above the rest right now. And like you said, too, Belfast is going to be a team that's going to be a handful every night, too. Not only do they have Ripley, they got two other kids that came there. Travis Ripley is a good coach. They're going to be a tough out every night.
Yeah, the easy game with Belfast, those days I think are over for a short while.
No doubt. I mean, just by getting Trevin, they're going to be a handful every night. He is a big, strong kid. And from what I've heard, he's really worked on his game. He's going to be even more talented, which will be painful to watch for me.
I'm sure it will be. That's kind of like a double kick in the gut. You lose 2,000-point scorers and a big kid that played extremely well as a freshman last year.
Yeah, and he was someone that he was gonna be one of the focal points of our offense. I mean, you
Sure
can run a
was.
lot of things through a big kid like that. And unlike a lot of big kids now, he doesn't mind playing with his back to the basket whatsoever. He's one of those kids that wants to take that quick drop step and put it over you, and he's capable of doing it.
Don't see that. I had this conversation just a while ago, and you don't see many big boys play back to the basket. Or back to the basketball is not being coached like it used to be. Everybody wants to shoot the down three now.
Yeah, they all do. I mean, and if you just look at like Cooper Flagg playing for Duke, I mean, he wants to play out on the perimeter too. We see it in the NBA. Everyone wants to play on the perimeter now. And if you don't let some of the bigger talented kids play on the perimeter, they might find somewhere else to go. And if you want to keep them around, you better. And it's also good for them to improve their overall game for those kids that want to go to the next level. If you looked at a kid like Caleb McFarland a few years back, Coach Hart would, put him on the wing his senior year because he wanted to see him take it to the next level. And, he went off and had a great career at Bentley after that. So it's doing a good thing for them too.
Have you heard from the Galley boys? They've probably started their season up there at Kent's Hill, I believe, aren't they?
Yeah, I hear from him often. And Carter sent me a message yesterday morning. He said, I want to wish you good luck this year. I'm going to miss playing on your team. Wish we had another year with you. And, I sent him a nice return message too. I talk to Cohen all the time too. They sometimes get a little of a bad rap, but they are the greatest kids you could ever have and the greatest kids to coach. So polite. They're great. I'm going to miss them.
I saw a lot of them over to my daughter's gym. As you know, over there, the MAC, they were there morning, daylight till dark, day after day. And
All
that's
the
what made
time.
them great players because they put in the work. They put in the time.
Yeah.
Coach, one thing I talked to Coach Patsy about this, the 5-second, the 5-foul shot rule last year. Did that change the complex of where you coach the game instead of the 1-and-1 type deal?
I had mixed feelings about it. I mean, we're a slashing team. We're an athletic team. We're a pressing team. We want to get out transition. So if you ask me, I think it benefited us a little bit more than some other teams. But it is a different strategy now too. You have to be careful, and you don't want to put people into a two free throw situation too early. I don't know. I have a lot of mixed feelings towards it. I don't really feel one way or the other too strongly.
The three-point shot really has changed the complex of the game over the last 20 years, especially at the high school level. It's only been, I don't know, it seemed to me 7 or 8 years where the three-point shot has really been coached and been prevalent. I mean, it's been around for a while. But now you, Coach DePatsy, Coach Ball, you've got players that can shoot the three and shoot the three with pretty consistently. And that really has changed the way the game is coached. Do you see this 5-foul thing maybe being a strategy that will be different maybe as we get into it a few years down the road?
I don't know. I think you see kids all the time, and even when you see them playing at a place like the MAC or the rec center, where are they always practicing shooting from? Always from the 3-point line. The art of the mid-range jump shot is kind of fading away. Not many people do that anymore. I think the 3-point shot is here to stay. It's going to be a big part of everyone's game. We shoot a lot of threes. There's no doubt about it. And we've been very successful at it. Galley Boys certainly didn't hurt in that area, but I think it's always going to be a very big part of the game, and we're going to continue to do it.
I often wondered and I questioned when you could put a kid at the line for a 1-on-1 in a pressure situation. That's a good strategy for a coach. I know you've used it yourself many times, but going to the line knowing you got 2 shots and you need to only make one of them, the pressure's not there quite so much as it was if it's a 1-on-1 situation.
Yeah, the front end of the 1-on-1 was always the most important shot,
sure
and
was.
now it's not quite so important anymore. Because you're right, you do have that second opportunity now, and there is a lot of strategy that will go in with that. And I am a big fan of certain people in certain situations. Yeah, you do put them on the line. It changes a little bit now. You're right, it changes a little bit now that it's 2 shots, but I'll continue to use that as a part of my strategy, no matter what the rule is on that.
Mm-hmm. Talk about your team a little bit. You talked a little bit about Zeb Foster and Mr. Woodman. Who else you got there that the folks at home need to be keeping an eye on this year?
I think Jackson K is going to have an outstanding year. We played in the Coney League this summer. We played in the Potomac Valley League. He was named to the All-Star team in both of those leagues. Very, very talented kid. He played a lot behind Carter and Cohen, so he didn't get the same opportunities that he's going to get this year. Connor Kingsbury is a kid that can really fill it up from the outside. He's gotten a lot quicker over the past year, which is very helpful. You can tell that he's put his time into the gym. He's going to be a tough kid to defend. We're going to have to rely on some new big people now. Leland Galley was one that I was really planning on early. He's hurt. He's out for probably another month. Then you got Ryan Poznarski. He played a lot on the JV team last year. He's a 6'4" kid, can play outside, play some inside, really athletic. I mean, if he gets the rebound, he doesn't need to pass it to anyone. He can just get out and go. So he's going to be really tough. And then I got some young kids coming in too. I got some freshmen that are going to be, I got Reed Robichaud, 6'2", 6'3", swing guy, play inside, outside. Alonzo Hoos is a very talented ball handler. And then I'll also have my senior Parker Darge coming off the bench, and he'll give me a few good minutes too. We got some pretty decent talent throughout the program right now. We're in a pretty good situation.
Well, Rockland's always had, Oceanside Rockland has always had a rich tradition, rich basketball tradition dating back decades. Some big shoes I'm sure you looked at, moving into this position, and you've done amazingly well with it. Do you ever hear the ghost of past coaches in those gyms as you make your decisions moving forward?
Well, I don't have to look too far other than my assistant coaches. I mean, I have Carl Woodman, who coached with Chris Elkington back in the day, and he was Jeff Woodman's coach, my other assistant coach, when they won the state championship. So you don't have to look very far for that. And, my senior year, we went 20-0 and lost in the state championship to Chris McKinney and Lincoln Academy. So
I was there. That was my first championship game and only game that I ever called.
Yeah.
In a side story to that, I did not realize you were on that team, Larry. But now we went up to film that game, and we didn't. I mean, we were doing the old SVH video and tape delay and all that, and we didn't think anything about rights or anything. So we just sat down at half court. Wayne Pinkham on one side of me, and Jeff Bradbury, God rest in peace, the both of them, on the other. And we set up, and we're getting ready to film the game. And Channel 8, I think it was, who had the rights to do the thing, came over and said, "Hey, we're supposed to be sitting here." And Wayne, in a not so polite manner, told him go find his own place to film. We filmed it, got it taped. We show it every winter. We'll show that tape, and I always chuckle about it because we had no clue what we were doing. We were just having a heck of a good time, and it was as good a high school championship game as you could see. It really was, and
yeah.
Okay. And I'll send you a copy that maybe you don't want to watch it. I don't know, but Chris Elkin was a great coach, and I had the opportunity to do some college games with him, and I had a lot of fun. who do you look outside of Madomic on this year's schedule that's really going to challenge your team?
Well, I don't know if you've seen our schedule, but it is absolutely brutal. I mean, we play out of our 18 regular season games, we play 9 against Class A teams. And I'm talking Class A teams that can really compete. Hamden twice, Lawrence, Brewer, Brunswick, Mount Ararat, Camden. I mean, the Class A teams that we play are not a cakewalk at all. They're going to be tough. And our Class B teams are, we got to go to Yarmouth. We got to go to Belfast. Um, Obviously, our local teams are always going to be tough. If you look at our schedule out of our 18 games, I cannot, and I said this yesterday at tryouts to my coaches, I cannot pinpoint a cream puff on there.
Yeah.
Last year we had a lot of easy games and we won convincingly. I don't see that at all now.
Yeah, and you won, and you took a lot of flack last year. And as a coach, that's tough. I mean, it's tough. These kids, like the Galley boys and some others, that put in hours and hours and hours in the gym to be as good as they were. It's not fair to them, even if you're up by 30 or 40 at halftime, to say you can't play the rest of the game. I mean, that's what they spent hours in the gym doing, is to play basketball. And that's a tough one to coach. I mean, you can't coach kids not to play.
It was really tough because I'm someone that believes in sportsmanship. I don't take any great pleasure in seeing other kids on the other teams or the other coaches, not happy with what's going on. But you hit it right on the head. The Twins were people that put in so much time. And I told them at the beginning of the season, I will do the best I can to help you get individual awards as long as they're in conjunction with team awards. And that never changed throughout the course of the season. We kept playing very well. They kept getting their individual awards. I know, it sometimes pressed the boundaries of what was fair and wasn't. And I did take some grief over that. And I know there's going to be teams out there now that are going to be looking to get their side of us now. And I understand that. And I know what's coming, and we'll be ready. We'll be prepared for it, and we'll understand it.
And that's all you can do. And I never, I won't say had sympathy, but just because somebody else's program is not up to par or where it should be to compete, that's no reason why your kids should not compete.
No, and if I knew down the road that it was going to be teams like Lincoln Academy and Madomic Valley that we were going to have to compete with in very tough games. If those kids are only playing a few minutes and they're not getting used to getting deep into the game and being able to do that, how are we going to be able to compete with those really good teams like those other teams?
Yeah. Yeah. How do you get ready for a championship run, which you had 2 years in a row, very competitive. And I mean, hey, you gave Arnold all they wanted in both games. I mean, that was anybody's ball game. And that's why you play the game. But it is difficult. And did you catch a lot of flack from the coaches that were on the short end of some of these scores?
Did I catch a lot of flack?
Yeah.
From that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot, but I was told, try to make it as a little bit more competitive as you can. And then, then I had Dana White calling me and saying things on podcasts. And I know, people said, oh, hey, that's great. Well, it's really not that great. I didn't want any more attention than we already had to the program. Sure. I kind of wanted to just do our best to fly under the radar. I understood what was being told to me, especially when my athletic director had a conversation with me. And I took it in the right way, and I did the best that I could with it. And also while trying to look out for the best interest of my kids. So I tried to balance it, but it wasn't easy.
No, I'm sure it wasn't. And speaking of your athletic director, so Mr. Troy Smith, he's a grad of Madomic Valley, big star over there back in his high school days. What is this with all these Class A basketball teams that you're going to be playing this winter?
Yeah, I don't really know how that worked out. I mean, we had said we could help out with the schedule a little bit if we needed to. I didn't think that we planned on having that degree of Class A teams.
I mean, that happened to him, Larry, when he was a senior at Madomic. They had a new coach came in that wanted to. He was a Class B school, and all he wanted to do was play A schools. And if it hadn't been for that coach, they had to play up that year for an A. Probably Madomic would have another gold ball or two in that case. That's back old history, but I'm interested that why would Troy Smith, the AD, want to play so many A schools? Just a quickie
I
thing.
don't think he did. I think he wanted to play a few just to help out, but he didn't think there would be 9 of them coming. But a lot of people say, hey, the boys have had such a good program over the last couple of years. Maybe it's time for them to play some of those bigger and better teams and get some of what they've been given. And a lot of people probably thought Bailey Breen was still going to be around this year. And obviously, she's maybe the best female player that would be in the state of Maine. So I think I understood the reasoning of why it happened. I just hope that in another year when they look at that schedule, it can be a little bit different.
Well, it certainly should be a heel point worthy schedule, playing all those teams. I mean,
yeah, I mean the good thing is that
you
if
could lose 4 or 5 games and still be 1 or 2 or 2 or 3 in the top 4.
as long as we make the playoffs, the thing is that we'll be ready from all those great teams that we play because there's no easy outs. But you still have to get enough heel points to make the playoffs too, and seeding is important in that tournament. There's a lot of good teams in that tournament, so that is a part of it.
Yeah, and it starts early, cutting those heel point systems, don't it? I mean,
Yeah,
I know
no doubt.
coaches, they start probably 3 games in, they start looking. They say they don't, but I know they do.
Oh, they do.
We talked a little bit about your dark horse teams. Who's going to be your biggest surprise? Belfast?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people will be surprised by them because of, they haven't had a whole lot of success in recent years. I will not be surprised by them. Ryan Ball will not be surprised by them. Nick DePassy will not be surprised by them. They'll be prepared for them, as will I. But they're going to be a team that's going to be tough every single night. I don't know how many games they're going to win, but they're going to be competitive every night. I don't see any of those big wins coming against them anymore. And remember too, Trevin's a sophomore. That's it. He's going to be around for the next 3 years to deal with. So good luck.
Yeah, he's gonna be a handful. He's gonna be a handful because he was a handful as a freshman. I think he caught a lot of people by surprise last year. I mean, I certainly was surprised by his play, especially the last, I would say, 7 or 8 games of the season. He just kept coming on and on and on and played well in the tournament for you.
Yeah, the kid works his butt off. He does whatever it takes to get inside the gym, in the weight room. He'll listen to whatever you say. He's extremely coachable. I'm really sad to see him go. He's a difference maker, no doubt about it.
Who else has Belfast got for some transfers that came in?
I don't know those 2 other kids very well, to be honest with you. I've just talked to the kids on my team about them because they've played against them. And they told me one of them's an outstanding 3-point shooter. And the other kid, handles the ball pretty well. He does a little bit of everything. So sounds like they got a pretty good little nucleus there, right there with those 3. And then they had a couple kids last year that weren't too bad. And you blend them in with those other 3. And I think they're going to be a tough out.
Coach, how has AAU ball changed the way high school coaches coach basketball? I mean, it always used to be you had a summer program, and then you took the sneakers off for a month or so, a couple of months in the fall, put them back on, and you played in the wintertime. But now kids are playing spring, summer, and fall.
Yeah, they play year round. I mean, basketball's a year-round sport now. I encourage all my kids to play everything, play football, play baseball, play all the sports. But basketball for many kids is a year-round thing. A lot of coaches have mixed feelings about AAU because it's more of an offensive game.
What's your feeling, Coach?
Anytime they can pick up a basketball and play, I'm all for it. So if they can play AAU, I strongly encourage it. Are there some bad habits that are formed during AAU? Sure. And as a coach that coaches in the KVAC, I try to fix them when they come to me. But at the same time, they're out playing, they're getting in shape, and hopefully they're playing together with some of the teammates that they're going to be playing with in the varsity season. So I'm for AAU, and I always will be.
Do you see the quality of high school basketball improving? Because almost all the kids, an awful lot of the kids that play high school basketball are now playing some kind of AAU, certainly along the coast here. Do you see that being one of them? Because the level of play here is just I was just so impressed last year with so many schools. The play was really, really good from Yarmouth right down to Ellsworth and up to Arnold.
Yeah,
In Class B, I thought, I mean, it's always in Maine. I always thought D and C was really the fun teams to watch. Because they run and gun, and that's my style. I like basketball, but I think along the coast here, the level of play has just been phenomenal. Not just one school, but
yeah.
both schools.
Everyone on the coast plays basketball all the time. All these kids are always in the gym, which is a good thing. There is a lot of parity throughout the league. If you looked at both, North and South last year, there was anyone near the top 6, 7 teams that you could say could come out of either one of those divisions. 2 years ago, when we went to the state championship, we went in number 1. We drew number 8, Cape Elizabeth. We were down by 12 points late into the game. We were lucky to pull that game out by, I believe, 3 points. That's 1 versus 8. So, yeah, I mean, there's a ton of parity throughout all of basketball. Teams that play A teams and double A teams, you can compete with them now. Whereas back, 15, 20 years ago, you didn't want any part of a lot of those teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Who do you see out of the North this year as being really tough?
Well, how can you not say Orono? They're just so well
they're
coached.
very well coached. I know that.
They are, and they got some good young players coming into that little guard there, sophomore guard is outstanding. They're going to be a tough team to beat. Old Town should be really good again. They got their big kid back. I would say Ellsworth. I don't know a whole lot about them right now, but it's a lot of the usual suspects, I would say.
So I asked this question to Coach DePatsy last week to put him on the hot seat, and I know you other guys like when I put Coach Nick on the seat, but
yes,
how has myself and others that are streaming these high school games, has that helped you as a coach further your agenda trying to teach these kids, or do you use that as scouting? How has the TV affected your overall coaching?
Yeah, and this really came to be prominent during COVID when everyone was streaming the games during that time. And what's nice about it is, if you have a grandparent out in California, they can watch you play. But yes, it's definitely a tool now. Before you had to go scout games live and you take your little notepad and write it down. Now you just turn on the video, watch it, and then you can review it. Bring it in with your kids, break it down. If you have something like Huddle, which a lot of coaches have, I use it. It's a great tool, breaks down everything for you. I love the fact that you can do this. I mean, what's better? I mean, traveling to Pittsfield on a Friday night to go out and scout, or watch it the next morning on your computer? It's a lot easier this way.
In pointing out to your kid, yeah, you did miss that assignment, or you did miss that open man, or you did not box out. Yeah,
you can tell them all you want, but when you can show them, there you are right there. What was you doing right there? It's a lot easier.
There's no argument then, is there?
No, there is not.
Coach Reed, anything else you want the folks at home to know about your Oceanside Mariners for this winter coming up?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're young. We're in a rebuild, but I think we're going to show you a product that's going to be competitive every night. I'm hoping we're going to play well in a lot of these games and make it back to the tournament, because as fun as it is to go to the state championship, to lose 2 in a row also hurts quite a bit too. So
I'm sure there's some motivation there as a coach that you hopefully can pass on to your team.
Yes, definitely.
Coach Reed, I want to thank you for setting in for this version of High School Hoops. Folks at home, I hope you've enjoyed it as we've sat down with Coach Larry Reed from the Oceanside Mariners and had a lot of fun. We're going to be on every Monday night at 7 o'clock, and we're sharing this video. You got any thoughts? You can reach us at lctv.org or get me at yank@tidewater.net. And Coach Larry Reed from the Oceanside Mariners, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your busy day, and good luck this season. I'm sure we'll see you on the hardware somewhere.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, folks, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
At Bath Savings, you know us for our exceptional customer service. And that service extends to our secure online and mobile banking solutions, so you can feel comfortable accessing and managing your accounts wherever you are. And it's all backed by the same personalized customer service from neighbors right here in your community. To learn more about Bath Savings online and mobile banking solutions, visit bathsavings.com. Bath Savings, your neighbor, your bank.
Hager Enterprises, a paving and excavation contractor specializing in all sorts of site work, utility installations, and road construction since 1987.